Martin O'Neill just issued a serious warning about Celtic's January window, and you need to hear this. We've got Dyson Maida's future on the line, O'Neill's honest truth about why transfers keep collapsing, and his emotional words about the connection with our supporters. It's been an intense few days at Celtic Park, but first make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content. Martin O'Neill watched Dyson Maida score as Celtic eased past Dundee United at Celtic Park, continuing a strong run of form for the forward under O'Neill across two spells this season. The match was O'Neill's first back in charge following a difficult week for the club. The win offered relief on the pitch while questions continued to sit around the squad away from it. Maida's goal was taken with sharp movement and focus, showing the qualities that have made him a key figure for Celtic in recent seasons. His work rate remained high throughout the game, and he led the line with intensity. The forward looked fully involved from the opening moments and stayed dangerous until he was replaced. The backdrop to the performance added weight to his contribution. Maida's name has been linked with uncertainty since a summer move away from the club failed to materialise. That history has lingered quietly in the background despite his continued involvement on the pitch. O'Neill has returned during a period when several players face important moments in their Celtic careers. Stability has become a central theme since his appointment earlier in the week. Managing the present while preparing for what comes next remains part of the task in front of him. He said, "No, I haven't at the minute, and I will do now that we've got a couple of days, on Monday and Tuesday." I would hope that he'd stay at the football club. I'm fearful of saying something to you here and finding out maybe 3 days later something else has happened. But no, I wouldn't want to lose him. The comments point towards a short window where clarity could begin to form. Celtic now have a brief pause before the schedule tightens again. That time offers space for conversations that have been waiting. Maida's importance to the team has remained clear across different managers and systems. His pace and pressing give Celtic an edge in games where energy matters most. Those qualities were on display again against Dundee United. From the club's side, balancing planning with uncertainty has become familiar this season. Decisions around key players carry extra weight, with fixtures arriving quickly. Keeping focus while managing change has been a constant challenge. O'Neill's approach has leaned towards caution rather than noise since stepping back into the role. He has chosen his words carefully and avoided firm statements where outcomes remain unclear. That tone reflects experience built over long seasons in the game. The coming days may shape more than just one player's future. Celtic are moving through a phase where stability is valued as much as results. How this moment is handled could influence the weeks that follow. Now for the main story, as Martin O'Neill has moved quickly to steady Celtic since returning to the dugout, but the wider picture around the club remains demanding. A convincing win over Dundee United offered relief, yet it did not remove the strain that has built across the season. Attention has now turned to how Celtic manage the weeks ahead. The manager's second return has come during one of the most intense periods of the campaign. Fixtures are stacking up and margins are tightening, leaving little room for error. Celtic are competing on multiple fronts while also adjusting to change behind the scenes. There is a sense that momentum has begun to return on the pitch. Performances have looked more settled and players appear clearer in their roles. That progress, however, is fragile and depends heavily on keeping the core of the squad available. The demands of the season have already tested Celtic's depth. Rotation has often been limited by circumstance rather than choice. As the calendar fills up, the pressure on both players and staff is set to increase. He said, "Because this week, the week that's just gone in, was the only week that we have had since I've come to the football club. We have had a free week. And from here on in, we go right through now, I don't know how long, because we're going midweek each time, so there'll be no respite. And if we pick up injuries to really key players here, we could be in serious trouble." The comments underline how narrow the path forward has become. Celtic are entering a phase where recovery time is scarce and preparation windows are short. Each match will arrive quickly after the last, leaving little chance to reset. For the players, that reality brings both physical and mental challenges. Maintaining intensity without adequate rest is never straightforward. Managing minutes becomes a balancing act rather than a luxury. From a club perspective, transfers now carry extra weight. Decisions made in this period can define how the rest of the season unfolds. Small gaps can grow quickly when the schedule offers no pause. O'Neill's words reflect experience rather than alarm. He has navigated long campaigns before and understands how quickly momentum can shift. His focus appears fixed on preventing avoidable problems rather than reacting to them later. The weeks ahead will test Celtic's structure as much as their talent. Results remain important, but availability may prove just as decisive. How the club responds to this stretch could shape the title race. For now, the message is clear without being dramatic. Celtic are moving into a demanding run with little margin for missteps. What happens next will depend on preparation, support, and timing. In other news, Martin O'Neill returned to the Celtic dugout with a 4-0 win over Dundee United at Celtic Park, stepping back into the role only days after Wilfried Nancy's dismissal. Appointed on Monday, the manager was given little time to prepare, but was welcomed back into familiar surroundings. The match arrived at a moment when the club needed clarity more than change. The game itself followed a difficult period for Celtic, shaped by protests, tension, and uncertainty across the season. Results had slipped and confidence had followed, leaving the squad under pressure to respond. The Dundee United fixture became an early chance to show stability rather than spectacle. From the first minutes, Celtic played with patience and care on the ball. The shape of the side remained steady, and players appeared comfortable with their roles. The tempo stayed measured, allowing the home side to build attacks without rushing. Yang Hyun-jun opened the scoring with a low strike that settled the contest early. Arne Engels added a second before the break, giving Celtic control that never really faded. The second half saw more goals arrive without altering the calm tone of the performance. O'Neill said, "There was a good connection with the crowd as well, which clearly hasn't been there in the wee spell that I was away. If we're going to try and do anything, I've been at this football club a long, long time ago, and the crowd were magnificent. We had a very good side then, but the crowd were excellent throughout my spell." In other news, Martin O'Neill spoke openly after Celtic's win over Dundee United, as attention quickly shifted beyond the result on the pitch. The match itself brought a sense of calm, but wider issues around the squad remained close to the surface. Supporters left Celtic Park thinking as much about what comes next as what they had just seen. The January window has hovered over Celtic for weeks, shaped by change in the dugout and pressure from the stands. O'Neill's return has not removed that focus, even after a comfortable victory. The manager knows the mood around the club and understands why questions keep returning to recruitment. This season has already placed heavy demands on the squad, both physically and mentally. Celtic have relied on a tight group of players through long runs of fixtures. Any further strain has the potential to test depth that many believe is already thin. Lastly, Martin O'Neill marked his return to the Celtic dugout with a commanding 4-0 win over Dundee United at Celtic Park, delivering the response many felt was needed after a turbulent week. Appointed on Monday following Wilfried Nancy's dismissal, O'Neill was back in familiar surroundings with little time to prepare. What followed was a performance built on calm play and clear thinking. The backdrop to the match gave it extra edge, with Celtic looking to steady themselves after sudden change at the top. There was no attempt to dress things up or chase an early statement through chaos. Instead, the focus was on control of the ball and confidence in simple decisions. From the opening phase, Celtic played with a patience that has not always been present this season. Dundee United were pushed back early and spent long periods without the ball. The shape of the team held firm, allowing attacks to develop without panic. That's all the latest Celtic news for today. What do you think about O'Neill's transfer warning? Will we get the signings we desperately need? And should Maida stay at the club? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss the latest Celtic news. I'll see you in the next one. Hail, hail.